Good morning, world.
Good morning.
Hey, Cedric, you know what I learned this past week?
What?
I learned that January 6th was worse than 9/11.
Okay.
It was worse than the World Wars.
Okay.
That's what I was told on MSNBC.
Okay. I got your source, so now I know where you're coming from.
And then I also learned that that MSNBC is right because there are real live racists.
Honest to goodness racists?
Did you know that there was any racists still
what is
around?
the world is coming to?
I thought we lived in a utopia.
Oh my goodness. Can't wait to see this. Stay tuned. I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. And this is Cedric and Brian.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Like I said, we have two subjects today, but the first one, Brian, you said that January 6th was worse than 9/11.
Well,
worse than some of the world wars.
Yeah, so we're celebrating.
And you're talking about the insurrection.
The insurrection. The insurrectionists that didn't have weapons and took a bunch of silly pictures in front of Nancy Pelosi's desk. Yes, that insurrection was worse. Well, we'll let Matthew Dowd, who was part of the Bush-Cheney swamp.
Yes, okay. All right.
So when they talked about draining the swamp, it wasn't just the Democrats they wanted to drain. It was the whole swamp. And so Matthew Dowd was on, let me put this down. Matthew Dowd was on MSNBC, which is the most reliable news source out there.
Yep.
Just above CNN. And listen to what he has to say. And if you guys haven't seen this, this is what he had to say about January 6th, or that major insurrection.
Well, I absolutely agree with you, Joy, that I think it's much worse than it was on January 6th. It's much worse than it was in November. It's much worse after January 6th. And part of the problem is because there's been no accountability, it's given permission to do more of this. And not only is it given permission to just average people out there who might do crazy things, it's allowed the Republicans just to continue this big lie that they've pushed across. I was yesterday.
Okay, I just want to stop that for a second. So what he's talking about, he thinks it's worse now than January 6th, which he could be right because, I mean, come on, January 6th was embarrassing. It was embarrassing, especially if you are a Republican. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
But this guy, so if he's saying it's worse now, but it's funny how the whole riots and protests the summer before, that's not worse.
Right. Silence.
So anyways, let's go on. I just wanted to bring you up to speed of what he's talking about.
Well, that's what the left accuses us of the whataboutism.
Yeah. So.
Yesterday I was in Kentucky. I decided to go to Lincoln's birthplace and his boyhood home. And I was reflecting about it because one of the things Lincoln said was, America will never be destroyed from outside. America will destroy itself. And I think that's what I fear about right now. And one of the things, if you think about this, what would happen if after 9/11 we had done nothing? We had done nothing. Think about that. If we had done nothing after 9/11. And to me, though there was less loss of life on January 6th, January 6th was worse than 9/11.
Is that like the most gross understatement? Although there was slightly less lives lost. It's like, how many lives were lost over the three states at 9/11? Was it a little over 3,000?
Yeah, 3,000. So 3,000 versus... And again, if we want to go to the point where somebody lost their life during the insurrection, it was a Trump supporter. So basically, shows like MSNBC, she doesn't even count.
Well, so CNN and MSNBC is like, well, we lost a Republican. Is that really a loss?
So she doesn't count. They started to bring up the officers that died and some other people that they found out didn't die at the... I guess, I mean, you can't really call them riots again. I don't know. I mean, it was an embarrassment. It was a bunch of people who trespassed, which was wrong. And if you saw the footage, some of them looked like they were kind of violent doing it, and others it looked like they were being let in, and they're taking selfies. So if you're doing something that's an insurrection, are you going to sit and take selfies?
Right.
3,000 people plus on 9/11. Let's say one. The Trump supporter.
Right.
And this guy is saying that it was worse. Than, and they keep using this. This is the gaslighting that goes on constantly. They ignore the actual deaths that happened last summer during all the George Floyd protests, And then they just, if you watch this side of the news, this is the insurrection. It's worse than 9/11, folks.
I was really upset because, like you said, when we first started filming, a lot of the Republicans and conservatives felt that we got the raw end of the deal with the election. So be it. And one thing that we can hang our hat on, and I'm sure some of you saw that meme, it said 70 million ticked off Republicans, not one city burned down. Yeah. And I thought, okay, we're doing it the right way. We're showing that we can go through the system, we can do it the right way. And so that was, like you said, that was the embarrassment of January 6th. It's like, oh no, they baited us. We fell for the old okie doke, and we got so riled up that we acted out, and they jumped all over it.
Yeah, and like I said, they keep calling it an insurrection, so an unarmed insurrection. You know, and the most visible guy was a guy wearing Viking horns. So this is the kind of stuff, and this guy, Matthew Dowd, he was part of the Bush-Cheney. So that just shows you, it doesn't matter, Republican or Democrat. If you're part of that swamp, and obviously he's on MSNBC, so he's a sellout anyway.
Right. So I think I texted you that day of January 6th, and I had 7 or 8 friends who texted me and said, Cedric, is this right? They clutched their pearl. Cedric, is this right? I was like, I didn't hear a word from you during the summer of 2020.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't hear a single word from you. And now all of a sudden you want to speak out.
And I had family that said, look, people are dying when that one girl got shot, which is horrible.
Yeah.
But again, she wasn't causing violence. She was trying to climb in a window or something or over a balcony, and she got shot. We're still not sure exactly who shot her because, of course, it's not that important to the left or the people in charge that a Trump supporter got killed. It's just not a big deal to them. And here's the thing. This insurrection lasted 3 hours, I think, just about 3 hours. And then Congress went back in session and they ratified the vote.
Right.
And everything was done. Nothing got disrupted for more than 3 hours. I know if you watch AOC, she feared for her life in 3 buildings over. They weren't even there.
Right.
But this idiot, and this is, celebrating the 6-month anniversary, because we have to celebrate things in months, I guess.
It's like those young couples in high school that celebrate their month anniversaries.
It's like, what are you going to do on the year?
It's our month anniversary. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, we talked about this before. You and I can admit that what happened on January 6th was wrong.
Yeah.
We admit that. The thing, and we're going to do the whataboutism, is that the vast majority of people can't admit that what happened during the summer of 2020 was wrong. They're like, well, those people, they're upset, they're angry, they're trying to be heard. I'm like, it was wrong. Just like this was wrong. Mm-hmm. Admit it, and we move on from there.
Let's listen to him finish off here.
Because it's continued to rip our country apart and give permission for people to pursue autocratic means. And so I think we're at a much worse place than we've been. And as I've said, I think to you before, I think we're in the most perilous point in time since 1861 in the advent of the Civil War.
Oh my gosh. I have to say
Oh my God, it's the most perilous time. I guess he forgot there was a depression in the early...
Yeah, 1929 didn't happen.
20th century. We had Hitler during that time. I mean, obviously wasn't here, but we sent a bunch of our young men over there to fight against Hitler. We had other wars. Obviously, we had Pearl Harbor.
Yep. And let's not forget about 9/11.
And 9/11, which killed on our soil over 3,000 people in 3 different states. Yet, this clown goes on and he says that the 3-hour insurrection was worse. I mean, these are the people that people listen to on MSNBC. If you don't call them out on this stuff, they're just going to keep nodding.
It's a damn shame.
Damn shame. And you know what else is a damn shame, Cedric? There are white racists, and they found one, they filmed him.
There's white racists?
I know, there's white racists, but guess what?
What?
Do you think there's black racists?
I know there's black racists.
And I know there's Hispanic racists.
Yeah.
And I would guess there's even Asian racists.
Yeah?
I would guess that. But they caught, and I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but they caught a guy and
yes, they did.
Put him on film, and the restraint that I think is he African?
African, yes.
African guy. The restraint he had is like Job. Is that the right biblical reference? From the biblical guy?
Yeah, we can go there.
Patience of Job.
Showed a lot of resistance, a lot of restraint, just kept doing the right thing.
He's the Bible guy. So.
Okay. Yeah, his name was Ichutambi.
Ichutambi.
Yes.
Okay. Well, before we get into that story, doesn't it seem like big government, big tech are out to destroy America?
Yep.
I mean, everything they touch, they seem to destroy.
Yeah.
Nothing is more true than the food supply. If you lose your food supply, you lose everything.
Oh no, can't go without food.
That's right.
So, do you have enough emergency food to get through a serious long-term crisis where you can't get food at the grocery store? Most people don't, and they'll panic when the time comes. That's why the smart move now is to get long-term storage emergency food before things go bad. We highly recommend My Patriot Supply. They've served millions of American families and have over 41,000 4-star and 5-star reviews. Their mission is your survival, and right now, you can save 25% on a 4-week kit of emergency food. That will save the day, probably really soon. Order a starter kit for each member of your family, and they'll ship everything quickly and discreetly to your door.
Go to preparewithcedricandbrian.com. That's preparewithcedricandbrian.com. So you can claim your 4-week emergency food kit and save 25%. As you saw from the little clip I was showing, we did make the pancakes, and they were good.
They were good.
Because all you have to do with these is you just add water. So depending on the food, like the stew, well, this is rice and this is mac and cheese, but they have stew.
Yep.
And it's basically just boil up some water, add it, and you got your whole meal.
It's good. It was really good.
Yeah.
I think it was good because I made the pancakes. I think that had a lot to do with it, but it is what it is.
Yes. He can cook if all you have to do is add water.
Right.
You want to tell him what happened, though?
I
added too much water, then he had to add more of the powder, then more of the water.
No, you're going to point out all my faults, and this is never going to work.
Anyway,
it's good stuff. They were good.
We're happy to have them as a sponsor now.
Yes.
So it was fun.
Good stuff.
All right, so let's get into this horrible human being. So, and we know, and this is where the left likes to point things out and make something kind of like the insurrection that we just talked about.
Right.
So they find one racist a-hole, which we know they're out there.
Which he is.
On both sides.
Yes.
And then they turn it into a campaign on, see, we never said there weren't racist.
Right.
We say that the system isn't racist and it's the best country for people of all backgrounds.
Right.
So let's go into this, and Cedric can stop it whenever we need to.
Okay.
I'm harassing you, you young fucking punk. What are you gonna do about it? Nothing. What are you gonna do about it? You know why? Punch him. You're gonna do nothing. Punch him. Punch him. Punch him. You know. Put your hands on me again. Punch him. That's twice. Punch him. Twice. Punch him. And his name is Brandon. You know. Fucking love him.
Okay, we're going to apologize in advance for the language. It gets pretty heated. But like we said before it started, the black gentleman's name is Edward Cagney. And he actually he won a lottery visa in Africa in 2017, worked extremely hard, got his American citizenship in 2019, and he lives in a condominium. I think this is in New Jersey, right? Okay. But the way I understand the story, Mr. Cagney, he was defending neighbors of his, LaRon and Denise Brown. And if I understand, LaRon was a part of the board of the Homeowners Association. And I'll say this gentleman, Edward...
scumbag.
Edward Cagney Mathews.
Look at the belly on that mother. I mean, get it.
We caught this on... Brian's more upset than I am. I'm upset too. But
Of course I'm upset, because you got to call out when they're scumbags. I mean, since they want to separate us by race, I'm going to call out the scumbags in my race. Obviously, I have very little or nothing to do with this guy. I'm not going to call him a gentleman.
Right.
But just as Cedric does when we come out on this, and if somebody from his community, which we hate using that stuff, says something stupid, he's going to call it out. Well, I'm going to call this out. The guy's a freaking racist.
Right. And his name is Edward Mathews, and he lives in the community, and I guess he has a severe problem with blacks. And he didn't like it. And Mr. Tamby, this actually isn't Mr. Tamby's condominium. It's his neighbor's. Mm-hmm. And I guess the wife, Denise, had called him and said, hey, this guy's over here. Can you come help out? So he's just doing the good neighbor thing and standing guard and trying to help out in this verbal onslaught.
You want to know why I'm going after him? I don't care. I don't give a shit. So why you're here? I don't give a shit. So why you're here? I don't give a shit. Then get the fuck out of here then. I don't give a shit. Put your hands on me one more time. Oh, you put your hands on me. Come close. Hold on. Come close. Right there. I know. Right there. That's right there. The rolling jerseys. Back up. Come close. Back up. Keep backing up. Back up. Don't touch me. Keep backing up. Don't touch me.
So he stepped up on those people's property. He's trying to say that it's, community property. Not when you step up into their threshold.
Right. And this is the thing, I'm laughing because this is the typical middle school fight where two guys touch their chest and sit, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Well,
neither one of the guys want to fight.
It wasn't the chest. That was a guy belly sticks out way from
Right. He's got a lot of belly there. And what Brian brought up a good point, and I just want to talk about just a little bit, is that just because someone has my pigmentation doesn't mean that they're my people. Just because this guy in the green shirt has Brian's pigmentation doesn't mean that's Brian's people. Our people go so much beyond the melanin of our skin. Me and Brian, like we said before, we're two dads. We have kids. We work. That's how we relate to each other. Everyone who is my color, I don't relate to, and we'll get into that a little bit later.
Don't touch me, Vito. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Fucking nigger.
Fucking bastard.
That's right.
Yeah.
My parents are both dead.
Yeah,
You're
what
right.
the fuck? My parents are both dead too.
And what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Nothing.
What you gonna do?
Nothing.
All what you do is harass all people. That's all you know how to do.
These motherfuckers are taking
I
our
don't
fucking
give
money.
a shit.
Well then
I
shut the
don't
fuck
give
up.
You shut the fuck up. Come
There,
there,
you dumb, ignorant nigger.
have
Windows.
Dude, I don't care.
Cookie's windows got shot out with a shotgun.
I don't care.
222s to their fucking front face.
I do not care.
In Cherry Hill,
I
their
don't
fucking
care.
daughter got smashed.
Exactly. I don't
Is that
care.
what you want? No. And you want to know where I was when all this happened?
I don't care.
At work, monkey.
I don't care where you were.
At morgue. Just like I told the Mount Laurel police, get these fucking monkey niggers out of here and you can't do shit. That's me talking shit. 3602 Gramercy Way, that's where I live. Come fucking see me. So you're real comfortable, so get me on video so you know what you see. Bring who.
Okay, we'll put the link to this video in our description box. It goes on forever and ever. It's two guys, two alpha males going at it. The black guy, I mean, he was defending his neighbor. I heard later, because we're a little bit late to the story, that the Edward Mathews, he was drunk. And that's why I have this little sign up here. It's in vino veritas. For those of you who know Latin, it says, in wine, there is truth. And you heard that a lot when, people get drunk and they start saying stuff. That they say wine or alcohol is truth serum, and how you really feel starts coming out. He actually shouted out his address, and sure enough, members of BLM and other people showed up with the police, and he was detained and taken away. But
now what was he detained for?
I don't know. I'm not sure exactly. I don't know if it was disturbing the peace or harassment or what it was. And this is his statement after he was arrested. He says, "I cannot apologize enough. I was drunk. I was out of line. I let my anger get the best of me," Mathews told the station. "There's nothing I'm going to be able to say that's going to justify me using the words that I use," he continued. "Whatever I have to do to make it up to the community and the world at this point, seeing how big it is, understand that I made a mistake." And then he says, "Allow me the ability to move forward, just like we all deserve." And from what I understand, this is not the first time this has happened with this guy. I heard it was an ongoing thing, on, and the cops have been called on him many times, but they just never did anything.
So he's a loud, racist drunk, basically. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing that me and Brian want to stress. It's like we always called out what happened during the summer of 2020, that people were just acting ignorant. This guy's acting ignorant. Does his actions mean that every white person is a racist? Absolutely not.
Absolutely. Oh no,
not.
absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
I'm
And
sorry.
that's the whole point
I
we're
was
talking
watching
about
CNN.
with the systemic racism. This man does not embody the entire white race. He's one individual, and we understand that. Just like me being black, you take Michael Brown and Jacob Blake and Dante Wright and Ma'Khia Bryant, and I wanted. He had this off at the past before people bring up the unanswered question. It's like, well, Cedric, you can obviously say he walked away. He wasn't shot. This guy's a complete jerk. He's an idiot. But Edward Mathews did one thing, and one of me and Brian's favorite words, along with hypocrisy, is comply. When they came to get him, he complied. I'm not saying that what he did was right, but I'm trying to give you a little bit of advice how you can get out of having a bullet in your ass if the police come to get you. So don't go to your car and grab a knife. Don't reach for a gun. Don't shoot at them. Don't resist arrest.
In fact, it was the opposite. He complied, but he was getting stuff thrown at him left and right from the general public.
Right.
Again, what the general public in this case didn't realize, because they were hitting cops too, that they then could have been arrested.
Yes.
Instead of just letting this guy get arrested.
Yeah.
So they're going to cause more of a scene, which...
And that may get him... his lawyers may be able to use that. I don't know. I'm not a law student or anything like that, or a lawyer, but the fact that he was had stuff thrown at him, he able to use that in court. So we take these isolated incidences of individuals making terrible, awful mistakes, and we look at that as systemic racism. It's not systemic racism. It's just idiots being idiots.
Yep. We wanted to point this out, so we kind of did two things that you see, because again, this is on the mainstream media. So they're going to amplify this voice, and as Cedric talks about over and over, what about over the 4th of July weekend, 100 people were shot in Chicago. 100 people and 18 died. Where was that all over mainstream media?
Right.
When actual lives and horrible things are happening. We know why it wasn't put on, because it doesn't fit the narrative. Right. This one idiot who puts his belly into somebody and says horrible things is national news.
They took it national because it fits the narrative.
Yeah.
I always end each video with a be good to each other, so I'm going to say that right now. Just be good to each other. White, black, Hispanic, Asian. We're not African American or Hispanic American. We're all American.
Don't forget, some of you mentioned that we weren't wearing hats. I'm wearing my hat. Cedric forgot his in his car.
I did.
Which is fine. He's got such a nice head of hair, he doesn't need to cover it, but I do. There's all the hats you can get. Use that code right there, C&B10.
Yes.
10% off.
Yes. All right. Well, if you guys like those 2 videos, again, we're quickly approaching the 10,000 subscriber mark. That's why we have a new marketing partner right here.
Yep. Prepare with CedricandBrian.com.
Yes.
Check it out.
They decided to reach out to us, so we're excited about that. But in the meantime, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you ring that bell, and share our videos with everyone you know. And in the meantime, until we see you again, please be good to each other. Until next time, I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. We'll see you later.